we were at this video game store and we were just like looking at DS games because I wanted one, obviously. And I just pull out this Transformers game and I'm like, man, I wanted this for such a long fucking time. And he just was like fucking like in awe that a woman knows about Star Wars. No, not about Star Wars, about Transformers. And he was like, it's too early. I almost said it. I almost dropped the L bomb. And I was like, what's the L bomb? He's like, I almost said that I love you. And I'm like, what? What the heck? Or like the dude like I had my first kiss with, he was really cute.
Yeah.
He was cute. And then like
I would not let him destroy me because I feel like if if I did, I would actually die.
yeah. He does give off that vibe, doesn't he?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I loved him. I thought he was awesome. He's a little scary sometimes.
Yeah. He was like this is gonna sound really bad. I was just thinking about that and I'm like, wow.
Say it anyway if it's horrible.
I was gonna be like, he was surprisingly strong.
That's not bad.
I know. And then like this is gonna be this is gonna be fucking wild, but like foot fetish guy, like he was cute too outside of like the foot fetish.
He has a foot fetish.
Yeah. I'm just saying
oh dude, have we ever told that story on here?
I don't know.
Well,
maybe not.
We should tell it.
Okay. So everybody gather around the campfire. It's time for Anna's story time.
So
when I was a junior in high school, I was a stage manager for a theater show at one of like the local high schools, and I dated this dude who was an actor in the cast.
Quote unquote dated, by the way.
Like when I mean date, I mean like literally like a week. So I don't even really qualify it as like a boyfriend that I had. It was just like I was really happy that there was somebody who was even attracted to me, because this was like in the part of my life when I was still really insecure about the way that I looked.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I drove him to work. He was older than me. He was a senior in high school and I was a junior. And I drove him to work because he didn't have a car, which should have been like my first signal that this man was fucking strange.
I ain't gonna say nothing.
I know.
I ain't gonna say nothing.
That's like my only thing. That is literally like my only fucking standards, where it's like I'm not gonna date somebody who doesn't have his own, like who can't drive. Like I understand if you don't have your own car because that's just expensive, but if you can't drive, but that's just me. Anyways, I drove him to work. And I remember that we were just chilling outside in the parking lot for like maybe an hour. We were just talking. And there was some chemistry, and I was like, oh, maybe. And he looks at me and he goes, do you want to be my girlfriend? In a Chase Bank parking lot at 11 at night. I have to specify that.
11 at night at a Chase Bank.
Bank parking lot. Yep.
Be my girlfriend.
Not even, do you want to go on a date with me? Just, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like,
that should have been the second red flag.
Yeah. Can't drive. Asked me to be his girlfriend immediately. Like, we just jumped from like not a date, but to girlfriend right away. And I was like, yep, good. And I was like, yeah, sure. So then we arranged our.
Always remember, never just instantly start dating a motherfucker. There was go on a date, figure out like that's your time to look for the red flags. Don't just go out don't just start dating the motherfucker because you can. That is a recipe for disaster.
There was so after that we like just kind of spent like the rest of the time before like I basically kicked him out of my car, just like planning our date. And date in like quotation marks, because like we literally went to like a video game store, a fucking furniture store, and then a McDonald's.
I can be a date.
I mean, I know, like, I'm just saying, like, it feels weird to me because, like, he was weird. If it was somebody that, like, I genuinely liked, that would have been fucking awesome, but I don't know. I was super uncomfortable the whole time. Because we were at this video game store and we were just, like, looking at DS games because I wanted one, obviously. And, I just pull out this Transformers game and I'm like, man, I wanted this for such a long fucking time. And he just was like, fucking, like, in awe that a woman knows about no, not about Star Wars, about Transformers. And he was like, it's too early. I almost said it. I almost dropped the L-bomb. And I was like, what's the L-bomb? He's like, I almost said that I love you. And I'm like, what?
Okay.
Mind you, this was like 45 minutes. Like, he got in my car, because his idea was that I went over to his house and, like, we play games, and I was so uncomfortable with that. I hated that idea. So this is, like, 45, maybe 30 minutes after, like, I picked him up, and then we drove over to this place. And he's already, like, he's almost dropping the L-bomb on me, and I'm like,
Okay,
what?
I mean, too.
You cut out again. I didn't hear that.
I don't want to defend him, but I mean, like,
I still didn't hear that.
God fucking. Is it good? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Is it good? Is it good? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm not gonna lie to you. There are not a lot of girls who actually know what Transformers is.
I'm just saying, like, it's not the fact that he was in awe. It was the fact, because, like I said, I was already, like, super uncomfortable. I just, like...
Oh, yeah,
I almost
just dropped the L-bomb.
Somebody liked me and wanted to date me, that, like, I just kind of ignored all of the things that were weird or creepy about him.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, this is whatever. And we're on this date, and I'm trying, like, really hard to be, like, civilized and stuff, but I was like, ugh. So that happens, and this is like a couple hours before we have to go to rehearsal that night anyway.
Yeah.
So like we go to this furniture store because it just opened, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna go look at this stuff.
Yeah.
And we go there and do that, and he's like, it was already really awkward because there was like nobody else in the store.
Oh god.
So we're just like walking around looking at this furniture, and he's like trying to get like close and cuddly with me, like when we sit on stuff. Like he's putting his head on his on my shoulder, and okay, that's another one of the things that I don't like. I'm not saying that like you gotta conform to like traditional gender roles. That just made me hella uncomfortable. I did not like that.
Yeah.
It was super weird. I just didn't like it. And I was like, like kind of shrugged him off, and then we fucking got up and left. And we went to McDonald's.
Right. Which,
and it's like a couple hours.
I did just say that was a date, but that should have been a red flag right there. No sane human being likes McDonald's.
Okay, you know, their hash browns are pretty fire. You can't say that.
Their chicken nuggets are also really fucking good.
So, okay, those are those two things. We're just kind of chilling there. And I'm like, actually, no, I don't think we went out to food. That was afterwards. So I'm just like, yeah, that was afterwards. Like, after the show and stuff. Because I was like, I want to get the fuck out of this situation. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to drop you off at your house. Come get you later so we can go to the show. Give him a ride there. And he was like, why? And I'm like, what do you mean fucking why? And he was like, I mean, like, we're gonna have to, like, go to your house. Like, we're gonna have to pass the school to go to your house. So, like, why do you would just, like, drop me off at my house? Just, like, we'll just go over there, hang out there for a while, and we'll just go to, like, the fucking show together. And, like, he got a point, I guess, but... You're coming to my fucking house. I don't want you knowing where I live.
I don't want this.
I'm sorry.
I don't want this fucker sneaking in my house, sniffing my feet.
Yeah, kinda. So I was just like, fucking whatever, fine. He just kind of was just like really like pushing. He was like, why does it matter? Why does it matter? I'm like, because you make me fucking uncomfortable. And I should have just said that and like took his ass home and called somebody else to get him and be like, yeah, we can't do this. This is weird. But I was like, fine. So we go over to my house. And I remember I was like, I want to dress up. I want to feel hot.
I want to feel fucking.
That's literally why.
I want to look like a goddamn diva.
Yeah, kind of. Because I was like, yeah, I want to look sexy. Even though I didn't look sexy because I was weird and gross. So I go upstairs. I go get changed. And I come back downstairs and he's having a conversation with my mom. And I am mortified. They didn't even have like a bad or weird conversation, but like my mom pretty much knows like the 411 in my life at times. And I just kind of look at her and she like looks back at me and I'm pretty sure like at that moment she was like, oh, this isn't going well. So we leave, we go to the show. It's fine. And it was, I figured it out now where I realized that like I was attracted to him when he was confident. Which he usually wasn't. But he was confident when he was performing, and I thought that that was really attractive. So he would like do the show, and I'm like, maybe this is worth sticking it out. And then the show would be over, and he would act like a fucking creep, and I'm like, and so this goes on for like the next couple of days. And this is like at the same time that we're taking the ACTs.
Right.
So, and I'm like, I don't want to blame it on him, but I was just like going like the whoo! That like I just did not do well on my ACT like at all. And I'm like, it's probably because I was a fucking moron and was like too jazzed about dating somebody for once that I like, you know, didn't give a shit about the ACT.
Fuck the ACT, I just got a cock.
I didn't even get a cock. I didn't even get a kiss on the lips. All I got was a fucking Charizard plushie.
Didn't you give it to me?
I did, but we're not even to that part yet. That comes later.
It was Charmander.
Okay, yeah, we're not there yet. Though. So, a couple days go by. I'm just like debating with myself like the whole time because it'll go like that. Well, I'm like, it's before and after the show. I'm like, I don't know about this. But then during the performance, I'd be like, maybe this is worth sticking out because you know he was fucking confident and that's hot.
Yeah.
And it would be over, and I was like, man, I don't know about this. It kind of comes to the crux, and I have like one last conversation with my mom, and she was like, if you're not happy, just fucking drop it. You're miserable. I hate seeing you this way. Just drop it. And I'm like, okay. So I go in, and it's like 99% sure it was before one of our rehearsals, and I'm like, listen. Actually, no, it was afterwards. Because I remember I didn't want to see him afterwards. I'm like, I don't want to like fuck with like his schedule, like the shows or anything. Like, I don't want to like fuck with that. So I'm gonna do it afterwards.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, listen, I can't do this anymore. It's not you, it's me. I'm just not ready for this. Total fucking lie, but I said it anyways. And he was like, really? I thought things were going so great. And I remember he's like, verbatim, he said that. I was like,
yeah,
sorry.
no.
Sorry, I'll do something. Sorry, buddy. Sucks to suck. Sorry.
Sucks to be.
That happens. I go in the next day, and I'm gonna have to turn my camera on for this. It's just better
Hold
if
on,
I like can physically do it.
Let me get it so we can see you. If you're gonna turn your camera on.
Yeah. Because there's no other way I can fucking do this without like physically showing you. Because it's so funny. Right. Like this last quarter of the story is fucking hysterical. It kills me. And I walk in, like I drive up, and I'm like, oh, I just hurt myself. That was gross. I drive up to the pool, and I'm like, all right. okay, let's go, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I walk in and I see like his mom or whoever drop him off, and he's just like slouched over, and he's literally walking like
He's doing the virgin walk.
head down, shoulder slump, motherfucking sad, and he wants everyone to know. And I walk into the building, and I see him just like walking down, because like the teacher's lounge, you had like vending machines and stuff. That's like usually where we would hang out during breaks and stuff. Like not just me and him, but like everybody, because it was a super small cast. Yeah. And I walk in because I'm making sure to keep like a distance between myself and him, because I don't want to like. I just don't want to, you know?
Yeah, I just don't want to.
You know? So I walk in after he gets in the building, and I can still see him like walking down the hallway, and he's dragging his hand against the wall like this, head down.
In his head, he's got like fucking Ramona from Scott Pilgrim by Beck playing in his head.
Yes, so, and like I'm like, this is bad.
This is bad.
Everybody else, okay, not everybody else, but like the director, his wife, and then my good friend Dante with a flare. Hey, I just love his name so much. Like knew about this, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fucking fine. I think Steph's having a mental breakdown."
I've never felt better. This fucko.
This motherfucker is miserable, and everyone needs like this is his problem. It's not just his problem. It's everybody's problem now. And I'm like,
motherfucker's got a case of main character syndrome and will not let anybody else not hear about it.
I'm just okay. So I'm chilling. I'm trying to ignore it, and I'm hanging out with my good old friend Dante. And he was like, "Do you want to go to the Mick vending machine?" That was one of the jokes we had. It's irrelevant, but I just thought it was funny because I just remember all of this so vividly. It's just it's funny. It's really funny how well I remember it. And I like remember that like we're walking down there, my heart's just like beating in my chest. I'm like, he's gonna be there. He's gonna be there.
Guess what?
And I walk in, and he is sitting in the back table with his head down with the lights off. So he's just kind of like, I'm like,
God damn it.
Fuck. We walk in, we're getting our snacks. So just kind of like this is the vending machine, and we're just kind of like, okay, good. It's kind of open over there. You want to go check on him? You go check on him, don't you?
Why would you go check on him, motherfucker?
Yeah. So he goes and he leans down there like talking to each other, and he was like, he wants to talk to you, and I'm like, really now? I wouldn't have guessed.
Oh, really?
Shocking. Absolutely, this is shocking information. So I sit down, and we're just kind of like, I'm kind of like teamed like away from him, because I'm like, I don't want to be with this guy. This is fucking weird and horrible.
Weird and horrible. I hate it.
Yeah, this is my favorite part. But I'm sitting there, and he like looks at me, and there are tears in his eyes. It's fucking horrible. I still feel bad about it, because he was crying. He was very clearly crying, and I'm like, I did that. That's terrible. And he was like, I got something for you. And he pulls it out of his backpack. And it's this Charmander plushie that's still in the Amazon bag. And I'm like, oh, great. Awesome. I can't wait to not have this.
I can't wait to give it to my friend who actually likes Pokemon.
No. Shh. Don't spoil it. And he like hands... And he like hands me this little box, and I'm like, the fuck is this? I open it, and it's like one of those cheap ass, like, you know, like those like two hearts, like two half of a heart that make one whole heart. He was gonna give like that to me, and I just remember like looking at it and being like, I like open the box and I like look at it and I go like, and I close the box and I slide it back over, but I take the Charmander plushie because I wanted it. So I leave with the Charmander plushie, and him in the dark. I leave, I come back, Dante's like, how'd it go? And I show him the plushie, and he's like, oh, cool. Rest of it goes on. It's basically over now. But then I start thinking about it, because I'm like, this is fucking weird. When we were dating,
right, yeah,
I just remember him being like, I got a thing for thigh highs, and I was like,
which is
normal.
That's normal.
I'm like, that's normal, and I'm like, I can supply. I got some thickum thighs. I can supply that. I got you, G. And I show up with like thigh highs, and he was like, and I'm like, thank you. I know.
Thank you. I know. I'm the world's sexiest
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And he just like very casually brought up one time, because like I don't know why I did this, and like I've never done it since. Mm-hmm. But like I walked around like without shoes on because it was just more comfortable for me, and he just was like, yeah, and you're just like walking around without shoes on. It's just.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. No, dude.
That's basically what he said.
Virgin
and I was
100, Virgin 100.